This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, with one of my favorite guests, Ed Slott, fan favorite. I do have a listener question, which was interesting, and we've had people listen for years. And the listener question was, they did a Roth in 2000, 2001, 2002. The custodian misfiled paperwork. I don't know if these people in your office, I think they may have even called your office. And the custodian did not label it correctly as a Roth. They didn't realize this till this year when they met with me. Is there anything they can do to correct that or no?
Well, it's going to be tough if you're going back that many years, and whatever shred of paperwork you have, hopefully somewhere it says Roth IRA.
They do have the original, like,
if it says that, that should be able to be corrected. But another thing to add to that, hopefully you have your tax returns. You know, they say only keep your tax returns for a few years, 5 years. I keep them forever, just in case of something like this. You go back to that year's tax return, and it will show that you did not take a deduction for the contribution. So even if they won't call it a Roth, it's going to show up. I mean, I hope they can, make the combination. You didn't take a deduction, your notes say a Roth, and hopefully if you can go up the ladder, you're not going to get anywhere with the frontline clerks or they don't have the authority to make that kind of call. So you're going to have to go up the ladder. It may take a little work. Maybe a financial advisor can help you. They may have some sway with the custodian if they have a lot of other accounts there, and get that corrected. Worst case scenario, they can see it's a non-deductible IRA, but that's not going to be that much of a help. It'll just mean the original contribution can be pulled out free, but all the earnings still may be taxable. So you want to have that documented and corrected as a Roth, but you're going to have to show some shred of evidence on that.
Wow.
And if you don't have the return, you can file for a copy of the return. The IRS will give, you can ask for a copy of the transcript or the return.
Even 20 years back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, they don't have everything. I just did this for a client a few years ago, and they couldn't find all the returns. But there is a form. I don't remember it offhand. I think it's a 4506T, but I could be wrong on that. I don't remember the name of the form, but it's to request a copy of your federal tax return. If you type that into Google. Are you on Google now? Can you go there? Copy of a tax return. Let me see. Maybe I can find it. While we're live on the air, I don't know if I can get to Google without messing this broadcast up.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, let me see if I can, because now I'm on a challenge here. Let's see. If I take this out here.
Yeah, it was the last time you were on, we got this question.
I'm typing it in now. Request copy of federal tax return. Now, let's see if I was right. I said 4506, I think. It is a 4506, a 4506T or a 4506. There is a fee for it. I think it's about $50 or something. Or you could just get the transcript, which is free. It'll show, but all that will show is that you never took a deduction. It won't show that it was a Roth. That you have to go back to the custodian for.
Yeah, and the custodian refused it. There was a plan I think we came up with. They may have even called your office and requested something, but well, anyway, I'll follow up.
Yeah, that's an oddball. I don't want it's an oddball kind of situation. Question. But the point is, here's the bigger item for more of the listeners. Once you do a Roth, confirm right after you do it. Like I have an account. The minute I put it in there, I look to see if it's coded as a Roth.
And I do Roths for my kids every year. You mentioned Roths. They're employees of my business. They're models for us.
Well, they're obviously he's on the show. I saw it myself.
They're on the show. They're on Facebook. They go to our annual Christmas and Hanukkah party. They're also on our holiday cards. So they're regular employees of the firm. I have them shred. They do a lot of good stuff. So they do their annual Roth contribution every year. Any more tips like that for kids?
Yeah,
doing
for
Roth?
young people, the Roths are a no-brainer. Any young person working and starting a job that has a 401k, they should only be doing Roth 401ks and doing their own Roth IRAs. The greatest, this is something I have in several of my books. I don't know if it's in this one, but the greatest money-making asset any individual can possess is time. And young people have more of it than anyone else, and you have to capitalize on that. Can you imagine tax-free growth for 40, 50 years? You know, Josh, you and I, and especially me, because I'm older, imagine if you could have, from your first dollar you ever put in a retirement account,
I
grow
know,
tax-free.
uh,
You know, now we're talking to get it into tax-free, you have to move it and pay tax and convert it. Imagine if you could do that from $1 on your first paycheck, maybe at 18 or 20 or 25 years old, and have all that compounding, 100% grow for you, no taxes. I mean, that is a no-brainer. Young people should only be, if they get a job, ask if they have a Roth 401k. Don't waste your time with a taxable, a pre-tax IRA or 401k. Some people will tell you, but you get a tax deduction, but that's worthless, especially when you don't have high income. Deductions are worth more when your income is higher. Now you take a deduction, you probably get almost no tax benefit from it if you're in a low bracket, yet that causes now 50 years of compounding to be taxable in retirement. That's going to make probably $1 million difference in some people's lives.
now that's huge. I started one of my bigger tax-free compounding. I did start in my 20s, thankfully, but I was like 28. If I only started when I was 18 or 25.
The compounding, you know, it's the eighth wonder of the world. But here, you know, Einstein said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. But he also said it works both ways. Many people don't know the rest of that quote. You know, those who get it earn it, but those who don't pay it. So if the compounding, you know, the math doesn't discriminate. If you don't do the Roth, the compounding still builds, but not all for you, partly for the government. In other words, every time, think about it this way. This is what I tell people to get them away from 401ks and IRAs, because that's the ticking tax time bomb. I say every time you take a deduction, it's really just a loan you're taking from the government, and you'll have to give it all back and then some at the top rates someday, and it's going to be at the time you're going and need it the most. In retirement, when the paychecks stop, when you're going to need every cent, you'll want to know that whatever you take is tax-free and you'll never have to owe taxes on that. Young people can start that process from day one on their first job. Don't fall for the tax deduction. It's a trap. It's a loan that you have to pay back. It's a ticking tax time bomb, like I say in the book.
It's like the miracle. I always say you have the miracle of compound interest and you have the nightmare of compound tax.
Compound debt. You know, if people don't understand compound debt, ask anyone who hasn't paid a credit card bill in 2 or 3 months. Then you'll know what compounding debt is.
Oh, it's fantastic tip. And you're giving such fresh, relevant information, folks. Pick up the book now. The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb and How to Diffuse It. You can get on Amazon, wherever books are sold, or go to one of my all-time favorite websites too. Do you sell it on IRA Help?
Yeah, well, it goes to other websites. This is what it looks like. Okay. That's all you need to know. There it is.
It's a very pretty color.
Yeah.
It just stands out right there. You know,
that was the publisher. I have to give them full credit. I didn't see this until I got it in my hand. I said, wow, that is some color. Really stands out.
Yeah, they made it to stand out in the Barnes and Noble book section or wherever. You know, it's funny though. Now nobody buys them at bookstores anymore.
No, they look at it in the bookstore. Says, "Oh, I'm going to go home and get that online."
So we were talking about Roths, talked about life insurance. We're going to conclude with enjoyment. You always talk about how most people, as they get older, they don't really enjoy their golden years. Talk about that as we conclude the segment.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Most people don't enjoy their money because they don't have a plan. They're always worried about running out of money. Or they tell me, I can't spend my money. And I'm talking about, I have a term for that I use in my consumer seminars. I call them pathological savers. They can't stop saving because they're constantly worried about running out of money. So they rationalize it by saying, well, I'm saving for my kids. I want them to have a better life. And they go through the whole, I used to have this with actual clients when I did more planning with clients. And I would sit them down, the older couple, and I bring their kids in so I could get the whole family on board. And the parents would always start by saying something like, they'd look at the kids and they say, kids, we haven't eaten in 30 years. Because we were saving so you kids can have a great life. We didn't have fancy cars and big houses and big mortgages and fancy shoes. We didn't even have feet. We had nothing. And then they go and, we walked uphill to school and uphill back. We had nothing. And we're here today with Mr. Slott because we want to continue to deprive ourselves for the rest of our lives so you kids can have a great life. If you use the strategies that I use, like the life insurance, for example, I said, all right, you're worried about your kids? Get $1 million life insurance policy. Look, I don't know how much a person has, but let's say they have $1 million. Peel off 5 or 10% of it. That's all we're talking about. And get maybe $1 million life insurance policy or whatever you get. After you die, the kids you're so worried about because you can't enjoy your money, they're going to get millions more than you ever had. And it will all be tax-free. And unlike you, they know how to spend it. So what does that mean for the remaining 95% of your money? You can enjoy it. In other words, I'm telling you, you can eat again. They're going to get plenty. You can spend every dime. Enjoy it. Take a limo ride before the last one.
And it's really about that. That's a great way to end this interview. Permission to spend your money. Get a permission slip. So Ed, thank you so much for joining us, folks. Get the book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb and How to Diffuse It, wherever books are sold, or call our office at 888-988-5674, 888-988-JOSH. And Ed, I have a calculator. It's a spend it till the end calculator.
Oh, good.
Where people can see how much death benefit they leave, and then they can actually amortize, just like you would amortize a loan. You can amortize your IRA or 401k so that you leave, let's say 50 grand or 100 grand. So you actually leave them less and then still be okay and have.
You got to take care of yourself first. They're going to get plenty. If people worry too much about the next generation, they're going to get plenty. Never worry about them.
Yeah, they're fine. So thank you, Ed, for joining us. And folks, get the book, The New Retirement Savings Time Bomb and How to Diffuse It. Call us 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Jalinski Advisory Group.
Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and Top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jalinski or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at www.jalinski.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions, the information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, Josh Jalinski and Wealth Quarterback do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature, is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC.